was thinking about, we talked. Even this is not really a topic today, but we talked yesterday about who's the girl with the rack.
Oh, Sydney Sweeney.
Yes, exactly, and how that picture came out of her, and
Right,
she
that
looks
was
like
in the
a
Patreon
normal
show.
human in the picture. Oh, okay. But anyway, there's this picture of Sydney Sweeney. It's like walking in her porch, not with back arched and lighting and
Makeup and
like looking
fake
like
tan and all the things done.
Right, looking like a woman who thinks she's
alone in her
privacy,
backyard.
Yeah, like daring to walk around. And she actually looks lovely in that. She just doesn't look like the runway person. And that's
right.
Oh, anyway, I was looking at these. People are offended by this, and many men are saying this is BS. I can't believe she's a lie. This has always been a lie. It's a lie. Whatever. And like many, I am astonished at how many men think that these people, like who's it? Gal Gadot. Yeah, Gal Gadot. Do they think that when she does a close up singing "Imagine" to get you through COVID, that she hasn't
put makeup on
exactly and like obviously
it's a little easier on like dark-eyed women
definitely.
For sure
because they have features.
Right, invisible eyebrows look good on nobody. But
I disagree. I do think it's a look, and I probably. But here's the thing that I wonder: is do these guys have girlfriends and wives who never go makeupless around them? Is that possible? Like your friend, your cute friend.
I don't think they have girlfriends and wives.
Okay.
I think they've and one of the ones I sent you this morning was angrily tweeting out pictures of celebrities without makeup.
Yeah.
And said no woman is a 10. The highest any woman is an 8, and there's barely any of those. They're all a lie. Makeup is so unfair, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And somebody said, like, we all knew this. Like, makeup makes women look better. And he said, maybe you knew it. I didn't find out until I was 30 and I saw this picture of Ana de Armas with no makeup and found out it was all a lie. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. Go outside, see women in real life. I don't get it. Like, but I think it comes down to kind of what you said in our Patreon show yesterday when we were talking about Sydney Sweeney. Like, I think these are people who just don't like women very much.
I totally agree.
Because if you're around women and you see them regularly, you'll understand that they don't always look like that. But to see women regularly, you have to go outside. They're not going to come find you in your basement with your PC.
You're exactly. Yes. And if you're looking on the internet, on everybody's Instagram site where everything, yes, everybody looks much better there. Or if you do finally get outside and you go to the club, that's also a put on.
Right. It's all, and obviously porn is an issue too. I mean, but I think that this like weirdly desensitizes men in a strange way that like makes them dislike women. I know Andrew Tate, Morgan's in the chat, and I know he likes Andrew Tate, but Andrew Tate weighed in and said that being impressed by the beauty of women is gay.
Right. Yeah.
Which is like kind of the opposite of gay, I thought, but maybe not. I don't know. But I do think that like men can desensitize themselves to femininity. And with that like makeup and that sort of overdone look can just like overdo the receptors in their brain until like they're not attracted to women anymore.
Well, so for that reason, let me ask you this. Was it when I was coming in the 90s, there were some women not just women I was with, but like other, would only like make love in the dark or almost completely dark.
Because they wanted to maintain the illusion.
Or because, being washed out with the light and, it's just like, I don't know why, but you guys could probably remember. But it's so like having everything be light, every like light on light would have been the exception at that time. Would have been, and I wonder actually if in the dark romance is actually hotter romance because it's all physical
and not visual.
Not visual, exactly. I wonder if that's a thing. Anyway, I got to thinking about that for 11 seconds. For me, I'm exempted from this, as people know, because I'm thinking of Terry Garr regardless. So
Yeah, you just close your eyes and think
and you
of
kind
Terry
of have
Garr.
her hair too, and I'm there. So not post-mortem Terry Garr, by the way.
No, the young living one.
Yes, exactly. All right, thank you for your time with that. Where do you want to start here tonight? There's more drone stuff, obviously, happening. We haven't talked at all about Trump suing the hell out of everybody.
Okay, well, yeah, so ABC, so he settled with ABC. I assume this is because they don't want to do Discovery, that they settled for $15 million.
Because George Stephanopoulos is a pig on his cell phone, and they can't have anybody know.
We talked about this at the time, that interview with Nancy Mace. Can't talk. Nancy Mace during the election, the interview he had with Nancy Mace, where he kept insisting that Trump had been proven a rapist.
Right.
And she kept saying, no, he was not proven liable for rape. Like, he's not a rapist. He's not proven to be a racist. Like, you can't keep saying that. It's not true. And, I mean, Trump sued and they got $15 million. So it's obviously a settlement. It's not a court ruling, but I think they didn't want Discovery. I think they didn't want the emails and stuff and the texts
Here's
and
the
whatever.
Mace exchange.
I still get judged for it today.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
And I answered it. You're shaming me for my political choices.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape. Just
it was
answer the
not a
question.
criminal court. It was a civil court.
It was a civil court.
And by the way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money, and I find that offensive.
I'm asking you about the man
as a rape victim who's been shamed for years now because of her rape, you're trying to shame me again by asking me this political question.
You've repeated that again.
I think it's offensive. As a woman, I find it offensive. My political choices, I've endorsed the man that I believe is best for our country. It's not Joe Biden. And you looked at the dueling rallies yesterday in Georgia. Laken Riley's family was with Donald Trump. They weren't with Joe Biden. The same guy yesterday that apologized for calling her killer an illegal, who wasn't illegal. And here you are trying to shame a rape victim. I find it disgusting.
I mean, you keep saying I'm shaming you.
You are. The question, it is.
How is the question asking you about a presidential candidate who's
You're asking a rape victim.
And there's no question about that. And you've courageously talked about that.
Because I've been raped. I think that's disgusting.
No, I'm questioning your political choices because you're supporting
me. You're
someone who's been found liable for rape. Actually, I'm not trying to shame you.
You are. That's exactly.
So he kept saying liable for rape. And it's very interesting because he actually interviewed E. Jean Carroll a couple of years ago and avoided saying liable for rape. He actually said found liable for like some kind of sexual assault in legal terms.
Well, yeah,
so
because those were both specifically charges.
Exactly, but the thing is, he knew the truth. He decided to use rape here because there was an election,
right?
And it wasn't looking good, and so it was a way to bully us. Okay, you want it? How dare you people? You're going to really do this? Just so you know, he is a rapist,
convicted felon, etc. Like, they have harped on this stuff nonstop. It's still not working.
He literally bragged about raping women. It was like, oh, give me a break. And so none of it worked, obviously. He's suing them. He's suing CBS now. He's suing everybody. Now, he's suing the pollster who gave him a bad poll in Iowa. He's suing everybody. And I got to tell you, as far as the media goes, go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, why not?
Because they found the secret sauce. The judge already ruled for him. Then why not? Of course, Joy Reid called him Hitler. Said he is literally Hitler. Sue the bleep out of her. Absolutely. Go to town. I am all for this. I think it's wonderful. I think it couldn't happen to a better bunch of dirtbags. And it just goes to show you, and I guess I forgot what we were talking about I guess, it's another story you just brought up about an hour ago before we got on. Just goes to show you that this media now they're only talking to each other now. Their audience is gone. Nobody is listening to them anymore. Like Megyn Kelly did a great breakdown of this today. There are more people watching her than they're watching these other people. There are more people watching.
Oh, yeah. By a lot, I assume.
Right. And so they're having these conversations as if they're like, your business is done. It's over.
Well, yeah, and they're all acting like Trump suing the media for specifically lying about him and winning the judgments is somehow like an attack on freedom of the press. Like, it's actually very, very difficult to lose libel judgments.
Yes.
against public figures like Trump is very difficult. And so, because you have to prove bad intentions. You have to prove actual malice for public figures. So, and that's why they would have had discovery, and that's why they would have gotten, Stephanopoulos' text, and they didn't want that, which is why they settled for $15 million. But I think what is fascinating here, do you have the clip I sent? I think I sent it to us of Stelter talking about this.
Was that yesterday or this morning?
I think that was today that I sent it to us. And
yeah, here it is. I got it.
Just not the case. But I just feel, and I wonder how you feel about that aspect of all of this. I mean, to me, it seems this is a time for our industry to stand firm. And we're going to have a very important job to do. And that's not putting us on a pedestal or anything like that, but we're going to have a very important job to do because Trump is not going to change his ways when he gets back in the Oval Office. He's going to continue to say things that need to be fact-checked.
Trump is not going to change his ways when he gets back in there. Mm-hmm. Says the most insignificant man in the world. He's not going to change his ways. It reminds me of who's the chick for the Globe who went after Minahan?
Shirley Long.
Shirley Long, who said, "I worry that when Kirk gets his own podcast, he'll be able to say anything he wants."
Like, no kidding. That's how this works.
Right. Trump's not going to change his ways in conform to our worldview. Me, Jim Acosta, who's just a pissant, totally. It's amazing. Amazing the hubris on these people. He's not going to change. This is very worrisome. Nobody's listening to you. Guys don't have a cord anymore.
Do you have the part where Brian Stelter says if some bend the knee, others have to stand up straighter?
Oh.
And you can't have the news industry worrying about this sort of stuff when they're just simply doing their jobs.
Well, if some bend the knee, others have to stand up straighter. The former Time magazine editor, Richard...
Frigging people. Can you imagine... that there's a tiny group of these people even left. This is the most endangered species that exists. They have lost it. They have lost the plot completely.
And they're all on Blue Sky. NBC is now writing a piece about how Jesse Singal has colonized Blue Sky with his anti-trans views. There's people literally repeating something trans people made up, saying he's a pedophile because they made up a thing where they're calling him a pedophile because they say he's like obsessed with trans kids, which he's not. He's just written some articles about how they shouldn't be getting surgery. Maybe some of them shouldn't be getting surgery. And they've decided from this that he's a pedophile. And like other people are repeating it as though it's a true thing that he does. He's like a pedophile and harasses trans people, which is not something he's
They're
ever
calling Jesse Singal a pedophile?
A pedophile, yeah.
Freaking amazing, these people.
And there's people repeating it like it's true, which is crazy. So NBC is writing this big piece about how literally in their words, Blue Sky was originally settled by trans people, and it's so disrespectful to them to have Jesse Singal. I was reading some of this stuff yesterday because he's the most blocked person on the platform now.
Amazing.
So,
co-host of the Blocked and Reported podcast.
Ironically.
He's a huge progressive, by the way. He's a huge progressive who has written about some concerns about surgeries for minors.
Right.
That's it.
He has one opinion that he slightly is more moderate on than they are.
Well, right.
That's it.
Very gently. Very gently. He is not dunking on anybody. He's a very gentle person. It's amazing.
It's really funny. And I guess that's a good sign in a way about like how dominant Blue Sky is going to become on the social media landscape. Because if they're already excluding like the Jesse Singals if he's the most radical right-wing person on their platform,
it's a whole bunch of people.
Then I don't think it's destined to become the next like widely adopted social media platform.
Yeah, a big progressive who we know on Facebook, who's always like a tough guy, progressive on Facebook, said, "Have you noticed that since everybody's abandoned them on Twitter, they're now trying to come over to Blue Sky to argue with us?"
Like, Twitter's still just fine. There's still people of all political persuasions on Twitter.
Well,
there's
this guy, remember I did the Rattlesnake Island thing? Mm-hmm. Like 10 years ago, whatever that was, for the Boston Herald, because Charlie Baker wanted to make an island full of snakes because...
In the Quabbin,
Yes. Because there used to be snakes here, rattlesnakes in 1700, so we needed them back, and someone convinced Charlie Baker was a good idea. So I wrote this... a pretty good strong column condemning it, made a video condemning it, whatever. This guy, like Mr. Snake Handler on the internet, found me on Twitter and like attacked me.
Like recently?
Oh no, back then.
Oh,
He snapped me. Anytime since then I've ever mentioned the word snake, he has like a filter. He's come after me again. But I followed him. I thought this guy's interesting, whatever. He is now 3 times a day said he's done with this platform. I'll see you over on Blue Sky. And they keep saying it, and it is the least tragic thing in the world to see these people because their candidate, these intellectuals, because their candidate didn't win, because there's more speech allowed on Twitter now. They're all going, we're going to Blue Sky now, where we can have entire block lists that grow exponentially, so we can block mean people like Jesse Singal, who's one of theirs. He's a Massachusetts, totally blue progressive, but he's got some intellectual honesty. So no, he can't. We got it. Nope. Go. Nope. It's amazing, freaking amazing. And I also think that I do think that it's dangerous for conservatives to think that this election meant that everybody's been red-pilled, because that doesn't mean that whatsoever.
No. There were a bunch of people who were like, I don't really like either of these candidates, but the Democrats are literally freaking insane. So
So I don't think that that's the case. I do think the case is that the people, thanks in part to Trump exposing the traditional media as being total liars, etc. And by the way, Daniel Dale called him a liar, Trump a liar again today.
Oh, the New York Times did a big fact check of his shockingly dishonest.
I would do yourself a favor. A liar is an interesting term, and I don't know if it's actionable, but you're probably going to find out very soon. But I think that Trump exposed the traditional media, and people thought, oh, I see, you're just all full of it. You this is not. Speaking of the reporter cheating and chicken in Syria, but also the other thing that happened was there's no way that they could compete with the podcast revolution. Jim Acosta's a lightweight and he's a fool.
Yeah.
The only thing he had was a set built for him. And he was a bully to girls in the White House, so he ripped the microphone from them. And this complex of being this hero standing up against, to truth to power twerp thing that he had going. That's all been exposed. That's all been exposed. And it's not just Joe Rogan, but it helps.
Rogan. Yeah, and it's...
So that's
it's a big
these
thing.
people are losers now.
That actually has nothing to do with conservative or liberal, though, because...
That's what I'm saying. People are sick of that form
of content.
Right. It reminds me of when I grew up, we had to, me and my brother, and anybody my age, around 50 or more, remember what a pain it was having to juggle the antenna on the TV and find something that you could keep it there, etc. And the fights we'd have when we wanted to switch the channel, because Rudolph was on channel 7 and, Frosty was going to be on channel 4. And we'd was like, you go switch it. No, you go switch. No, you go switch it. No, you go. And the fight. And we're like, and when the remote control came and cable came and made the magical fix to all that, nobody was buying antennas anymore.
Right.
It was antennae, whatever they are. Anyway, that was over. And so now that's what I think this is. People have found a fix for getting news.
Right.
And that's the podcast.
Well, and Morgan says echo chambers suck on both sides, which is true. And I think right now at this moment in time, I think the left-wing echo chamber is stronger than the right-wing echo chamber. Like, I think more conservatives hear a liberal point of view than liberals hear a conservative point of view in general. Not
I think
always.
That's how it's been, and it still is.
I think there's some conservatives who are in an echo chamber for sure.
But I wouldn't want, I would be very disappointed if Rogan went MAGA.
Oh yeah,
and fell in love with Trump, because then you'd lose him. You lose the purity of what he is.
Well, yeah, and that's the reason why Trump going on Rogan was powerful, is people know Rogan's not MAGA, and people know that he would have given Kamala a fair shot. It's interesting because I saw somebody pointing out that Timothée Chalamet has been going on all these podcasts promoting, I don't know, whatever he's doing right now, and that a lot of them are podcasts Kamala turned down, and because she couldn't do that, and he was charming and likable. I mean, we saw Mr. Beast, who's obviously a big liberal, on what did we see him on? That Theo Vaughn the other day.
Right.
You had that on.
Right.
These are not ideological people. This is not a right wing versus left wing thing. This is an ability to have a conversation and talk and act normal and be transparent and think things out loud in real time. And is a big reason why people like Trump. And he did this press conference today, which, I mean, the New York Times, I'll read you the New York Times' description of it. President-elect Trump, in his first news conference since the election, made a number of new claims, false, misleading, or overstated about a range of topics, in addition to repeating a number of familiar inaccuracies. Here's a fact check of his remarks. But it was great. It was like vintage Trump. He is who he is. I mean, like, I'm looking forward to 4 more years of it. It's interesting to see him thinking out loud. And I think people are sort of worn down and are not as alarmed by it anymore as they once were.
Well, yes, and it's interesting that you know, when the New York Times doesn't like, they never say that their own people lie, ever. Ever. Joe Biden doesn't lie. They never use that. And Mitt Romney, he doesn't lie. He's
not anymore.
But the lie is reserved for only one person. It's only Trump who ever lies. Mitt Romney says things that are inaccurate or incorrect or whatever. It's only Trump, they say, who lies. Which is, of course, him saying...
Bush lied,
him saying, and
people died.
Well, hold on, Elsa. Him saying... It's regrettable.
No, but what I'm saying is that, like, they have called other Republicans liars before. That's not a unique Trump term.
Right, but what I'm saying is that Trump's got the combination of saying things using hyperbole that is not Washington, D.C. doublespeak or editorial board doublespeak, at the same time saying things that they ideologically disagree with. So that's not, you can't just use inaccurate for that. That hurts them too much. They say lie so it'll alarm you and I.
Right.
Just like convicted rapist. Hello, Alice Shattuck. Convicted rapist. He's
Liar,
lying.
convicted rapist, felon.
We're the New York Times. We're using a word we don't use, a non-newsy word. It's such an alarming thing. We're alarmed. You should be alarmed. That's why we're using the word hello. And that's what they do. And it's amazing. But yeah, I thought it was a good press conference.
What do you make of the reaction
I think
around the suspected shooter? Does that tell you anything about how people
I think it's a terrible thing. I think it's really terrible that some people seem to admire him, like him. And I was happy to see that it wasn't specific to this gentleman that was killed. It's just an overall sickness as opposed to a specific sickness. That was a terrible thing. It was cold-blooded, just a cold-blooded, horrible killing. And how people can like this.
By the way, I guarantee you, many of the staffers at the New York Times think that's a lie. It wasn't cold-blooded. He worked for a healthcare company.
Right.
Trump's lying again.
Guy is, that's a sickness, actually. That's really very bad, especially the way it was done. It was so bad, right in the back. And very bad, very thing like that. You can't believe that some people, and maybe it's fake news. I don't know. It's hard to believe that that can even be thought of. But it seems that there's.
What do you mean?
He weighed in on the drones too, which a lot of people thought was interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm looking to get to it.
Which, like, when I said it to you this morning, when I was like, "Oh, Trump talked about the drones," and you were like, "Did he just tweet it or did he actually talk?"
Yeah.
I was like, "No, he's doing a press conference. He literally actually talked about the drones." So
yeah, I had no idea. But here's his drone talk.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people. And they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster. Want to know the truth? They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drone?
I don't want to comment on that.
Two quick questions. First,
Okay,
on vaccines, do you want RFK Jr. to revoke any vaccine?
No, I want him to come back with a report as to what he thinks.
By the way, another thing about Trump in this press conference, this is them with the press not mic'd up in a cavernous room at Mar-a-Lago with great acoustics that has them bouncing off the wall. They're right on top of him. You know, this is something that Biden does not do, something that Kamala certainly could never do.
Right.
But he is, as far as the drone stuff, I found this very interesting. Well, no, maybe I shouldn't go too far afield. I still don't know exactly what's going on.
They say one step.
I want you to hear. Hold on, let me play for a second. I found this. Did you watch this? I found this Wall Street Journal story from 2020, which is actually mostly recorded in 2019, and it's about drones. And if you looked at these drones, to me, these drones, the ones that I've seen, look like Chinese drones. Chinese make the best drones, right? At the moment, they make the best drones. We're trying to change that, or trying to force people to make an American drone by mandate. But the Chinese are way ahead in drone technology. But this is a glowing piece on China. This is 2019. So this is when when COVID hit them, and they were telling us that nothing was really happening. This is a woman being followed by drones. You're going to hear the drones shout at the people.
This woman is being scolded for being outside without a face mask and was chased back into her home. These people are being admonished for hanging out in a group. They were all caught by Chinese authorities who've been deploying drones equipped with high-resolution cameras and loudspeakers. It's one part of China's massive surveillance strategy to tackle the spread of the coronavirus, which has reached just about every region in the country. The virus has infected more than 80,000 in China, resulting in the deaths of more than 2,000 people in the country, far surpassing the death toll from SARS.
Anyway, they go on to show all these drones, and they show all the graphics of the drone view. In other words, like back at the headquarters, and these drones are flying through the crowds, and every single person is being boxed in with this graphic, this square around them, and all of their information is coming down, facial recognition stuff, etc. And these things were flying. If you look at some of this footage from 2019 to 2020, they look exactly like the drones that we're dealing with.
But these ones are out at night. Can they do that at night in the dark?
I don't know. I don't know if they can. I mean, with the Chinese, if you've got not only an ID card that reacts to it, but whatever. But I'm not saying that's what's happening. Like right now, is to facial recognize everybody. But it does tell you how attractive the idea.
This drone technology has been around for a few years.
It's very. The left would love this.
Oh yeah,
love this. Have the drones, and they'd all be in sync with all the CCTV cameras, etc.
Well, and look at even. This has sort of been a side narrative of the whole healthcare shooter thing because the case is so weird in general. But look at how surveilled he was. Right? Like how many images of his face they had from various different places he had been before and after the shooting. Even though he was wearing a mask almost the entire time he was in the city of New York for days and days, they still were able to get him from like old-fashioned facial recognition. I mean, I know people talked about this a little bit when the marathon bomber stuff happened as well, that they were able to identify these guys like fairly early, even before they released it to the public. They knew who it was because there were so many cameras, and and it's only multiplied since then. The suburbs are crazy. There's Ring cameras everywhere, and the police go right to them. Amazon has that footage. Like, they can hand it over to law enforcement agencies. And it's interesting because, you know, like in China, it's obviously state actors that do all this stuff. But here, we've sort of outsourced it to corporations, and then the corporations are able to give it to the government when they want, and it allows the government to sort of get around all these privacy concerns of all the things they do. They don't really even need a Patriot Act anymore, or like the stuff Snowden was reporting, that they're able to surveil people to a huge degree. That's unbelievable because they're able to get at information that we're giving to corporations that then give it to the government when don't put up any fight whatsoever. That was one of my big takeaways, honestly, from like the 2000 Mules thing. Is one of the things that they used extensively was they bought cell phone location data from the cell phone companies that sold it to them. So they were able to say, like, this cell phone went to this voting drop box X number of times.
Right.
You know, so that's fascinating to me. And once again, not a left-right thing, right? Like, this isn't a government doing this. This is a general, like, surveillance thing. Like, we're all on camera all the time.
Yes. You know what's interesting, too, about the sycophants who love Luigi? Mm-hmm. Had there not been half the country in love with this murderer, swooning these otherwise, cosmopolitan, very civilized, highbrow women of West Hartford and Cambridge, had they not had swooned and had a love affair with him, then this guy wouldn't have been a hero, and everybody wouldn't have imprinted his face in their minds, so that when he walks into McDonald's, they're like, yeah, I'm the
Hey,
Luigi's.
Mr. Eyebrows, it's you.
Yeah, Mr. Luigi's here, by the way. And so they did their own guy in by falling in love with him.
Right. Do you have the girl that I sent us, the TikTok girl who played it, who's in love with him?
Let me
It's
see.
really, like, we have a sickness in our society, and I think it's related to the stuff we talked about Megan McArdle and the, like, young people not having any life experience of violence. But this actually brings me to another topic that I kind of want to get to here about the not having life experience of violence, because I want to talk about.
They got rid of it. The James Woods post.
Oh, damn. Yeah. Okay.
I wonder if I can
anyway,
go back and play it from the preview. Maybe still.
Girls are in love with this guy, as we know. But I was fascinated by this because our daughter's English class. She's in 8th grade.
Maybe I can play it from the preview. Let me see.
Go ahead.
It's interesting. You open it up and it won't give you the page, but the preview is still there.
Okay, so they've arrested our hot CEO assassin. Turns out his name's Luigi. He's 26 years old. He's an Ivy League grad. Did his undergrad and master's at Penn in computer science. That's my type. He's a little young for me, but baby, what is you doing getting caught eating at McDonald's? And curse you, McDonald's employee, for turning him in. But I get it. They upped the reward to $60,000. Maybe you needed that money. I never understood those crazy women that wrote inmates in jail, but I could see myself doing that.
Whew.
So yeah, young people are not familiar with, like, violence, murderers, crazy people, like any of the above, which is why they have a distorted
Why are you at McDonald's, Luigi?
Come on.
Make better choices. Make better life choices.
Yeah, and Tommy says Charles Manson had a harem, not new. It's true.
That's exactly like this. And they were also mostly white, middle, upper class girls.
Yeah. So we received this letter from our daughter's school. Dear parents and guardians, as you are aware, your 8th grade student will be reading. Are you ready for this? Could it be genderqueer? Could it be, like,
Mein Kampf.
Mein Kampf. I mean, something shocking. What are they? Lady Chatterley's lover.
Right.
Like, what are they going to be reading?
What's that with the gray, Shades of Grey, the sex?
50 Shades of Grey.
Yes, exactly.
Your 8th grade student will be reading All Quiet on the Western Front by Eric Maria Remarque this quarter as a part of our curriculum. Although this book is a classic, it follows the experiences of German soldiers fighting in World War I. Some of the content is quite violent and explicit. There is swearing in the novel,
What?
beyond typical swears found in young adult literature.
Oh.
In addition, the curriculum has students skipping certain sections of the book that are clearly inappropriate for middle school students, but this doesn't mean that students won't read those pages on their own. The 8th grade...
I know that your eardrums have been blown out and somebody's using a bone saw on your leg, but could you try to keep it clean?
The 8th grade ELA teachers will approach the novel's content with ELA is what we call English nowadays, English language arts. The 8th grade ELA teachers will approach the novel's content with sensitivity, not focusing too heavily on overly gruesome violence or swearing.
We're going to barbify this war and make it
No wonder boys don't do well in school
pinks
anymore.
and canary yellows than
And
the
can
war
I
really
point out,
was,
this
and
is
make
the-
sure it's more nerf than it really was. Nobody gets hurt in our version once we're done with this book.
This is, as far as I can tell, the first, like, classic great Western novel that they've ever read in school. Like, I think it's all been YA, watered down, adapted junk, like, up until now.
Right.
I think this is the first time they've read a real thing. So it immediately requires, like, all kinds of warning labels on it, like it's from the bad rap section of the record store.
We should bring the Kansas
essential-
therapy dog in before we start reading this.
The essential question for this unit is, how does All Quiet on the Western Front illuminate the effects of World War I? Students will complete an end-of-module task that requires them to write an essay about the psychological aspects of war. That will be the ultimate focus of our instruction for this unit. We encourage you to read the book with your student and or discuss the content with them. We would also like students to advocate for themselves if they have concerns while reading the novel. Finally, as you may or may not be aware, a modern movie of All Quiet on the Western Front is currently on Netflix. We have not seen it.
But we wouldn't do that to ourselves.
But we have read.
By the way, like none of you have seen it?
None of them have seen it.
It's a pretty big movie, I think. Like,
I think it was pretty popular.
yeah, nobody's gonna.
We have not seen it,
And we won't.
but we have read that it is very violent and gruesome.
That, unlike the book that we're doing, that one's about war.
We are not recommending that students watch this movie.
No.
It is a personal family decision if you want your student to watch the movie. Please contact your student's ELA teacher with any questions or concerns.
So, they're gonna omit entire pages, chapters, or sections. Because I think our daughter read right through them.
Sections, I think she read through it also.
Right.
Because this is probably the best book she's ever read at school,
Well,
certainly.
right. And the author kept those sections in.
Because he was writing a book that was meant to be read as a cohesive whole.
Exactly. However shocking those sections were, your idea is that you get to do theater of the mind stuff that really real men a few years older actually saw. Or boys, actually.
Actually, people our daughter's age actually probably really saw, because I mean, you did have to generally be 18 to enlist, but a lot of people lied, and there were much younger teenagers in the trenches on both sides of this war. And like the idea that students should know what war is, kind of.
Yeah, I'll tell you something that when I was 13, I was her age. When I was 13, Platoon came out.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it?
No.
And before Platoon, I always thought war seemed awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Because you get to shoot the guy that grabs a machine gun. It's freaking great. You know, you're a hero. Our uniforms, the allies look good. You know, 13, you're clueless. Like, boy, it's like, oh, this is awesome. Platoon took the fun out of war. It was like, that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like any of that stuff.
Splash in the chat says that the All Quiet on the Western Front movie is a great movie despite the lack of LGBTQIA plus representation.
Oh, I will not. I want to see the AI version of what they think that it looked like. So, Alice, will they be covering any books on the Boer Wars?
Will they?
I would say probably not, because I think All Quiet on the Western Front involves a bunch of whites eliminating whites, so that's a pretty good start.
I mean, I think the Boer Wars, wasn't it mostly the English versus the Dutch in South Africa?
Yeah, but there was
because the Dutch had been
black
there.
South Africans.
Yeah, but mostly
conscripted.
Well, but I think it was.
Also, I'm at the end of what I know about the Boer War. Okay. So let's back out of this.
Sorry.
Let's slowly
in the
step away.
Forsyth Saga, which is a book that I love, one of the people in that goes into the Boer Wars and dies of dysentery.
Thank you, Alice. Save it for the food show.
Always with the happy topics from Alice. Okay, so that's our like school story of the day, which is, I don't know, the whole letter, the whole thing just cracked me up.
Yeah.
Obviously, if our daughter came home with some like LGBTQ book that depicted graphic sex acts, that would not come with a warning like that in any form whatsoever. It struck me as hilarious because they, sent home the list of books that they'd be reading at the beginning of the year. And I was actually excited that they were going to be reading this book. I was like, finally, you're reading some real books at school. Like they had that and they had A Midsummer Night's Dream. It's like the first time they've ever done anything. And I just, like, getting this letter cracked me up.
Well, yeah, and I'd love to. I haven't read a book in 30 years, but before that, I really got into World War II books, war correspondence books on D-Day, on Guadalcanal Diaries, and it's real stuff.
Yeah,
that they're doing. A lot of these were children's books, so they weren't talking about like holding somebody's entrails for a long time, but it was you were losing people. Left and
the
right.
last book they read was a book that was written entirely in poetry about a kid playing basketball and his dad dies of a heart attack. If you want to know, that didn't come with a warning label.
Oh, good.
So,
all right, should we do the chat?
Unless
Unless you
was
want to
there
hit
something
something
else that I wanted. I forget. I feel like there was. Oh, we have people in the chat talking about the school shooter. I don't want to get too into that because the information we have is still very, very preliminary. I do not. From what I've read so far, I don't think it's a trans person. I think it's a chick.
Right. That
just
said,
a regular
the cop on scene, the sheriff or whoever it is, does not fill you with faith.
What sort of gun-related policies, if any, were in place at the school, and did the school have metal detectors?
I'm not aware that the school had metal detectors, nor should schools have metal detectors. It's a school. It's a safe space.
So he's an a-hole, obviously, is what we're finding out about him. Oh, shut up. It's a school. It's a safe space. Just be quiet.
We know that 3 people are dead, including the suspect shooter. We know that the suspect shooter was a teenage student who attended the school. At this time, we're not releasing the age or gender of the student.
It's all I need to know. All I need to know is where this guy is prioritized,
Right. So, I mean... It is. We'll find out more. AP's reporting it's a 17-year-old girl. There's a bunch of speculation and some photos online. It's unclear to me. A lot of it is conflicting information. A lot of it might be people making stuff up. The common threads seem to be that this girl apparently was obsessed with like school shooters, mass shooters, especially some of the Nazi school shooters. There's some manifesto stuff floating around.
Yeah.
Some of it's fake. Some of it's not. Like, it's very hard to tell right now. It's very early, so I don't want to weigh in on any of that because it might or might not be true, and I don't like. Yeah, it's fine to not have an opinion.
We don't want to be part of the problem. What do we want to be part of, Alice?
The solution?
There we go. All right. I was going to walk out and leave. Stand up and leave if you didn't finish that.
Is this a trick? I don't know. Okay, so let's head to the chat. Chelsea Fire Wicked Hot Sauce brings us a Chelsea Fire Wicked Hotline.
I believe, Alice, there has been revolutionary insurrectionist activities with the naming convention happening in response to the strict new guidelines.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. I'm getting the spinning wheel. Come on.
Uh-oh.
All right. Remind me to replay number 3207. I'm reloading the page.
Okay.
There's 3207. Let's try it again.
Holy crap.
Yes.
Talk about burying the lead.
What?
17 minutes into Sunday night's pod, and now we hear about you guys seeing Malone, Weinstein, Tucker.
Oh,
yes.
All just so Tom could talk for 16 minutes and 59 seconds about how flattered he was being reverse groomed by some teenager at the supermarket. Yeesh. Hope he at least got a discount at Market Basket, buddy.
You know what?
Tommy in the chat did say that Market Basket's going to start deploying drones to keep the creeps away from the teenage baggers.
I know. So. I was there again early this morning too. It's like I'm there. I got to pick another mark. Yeah, I hear. I'm not sure what to say anything more than that, but I understand. I make those noises sometimes as well. My own self.
So, Tom, what I can ascertain of you is that you're married, you have a boatload of kids, a radio career.
Correct.
You host a couple of podcasts.
Yes, sir.
You have a hobby or two, and you enjoy food. I think we can all establish that.
Yes.
Yep.
But after hearing the opening of your Mondays or Sunday night's Burn Barrel, I think we can all agree You are a lonely, lonely man when it comes to talking to high schoolers at Market Basket. That is Creep Show 101, my friend. Maybe time for you to get a new hobby or something, because that's pretty pathetic, my friend.
That's my crew now. That's my set. That's who I roll with now. Like they're not like probably underclassmen like my son hangs out with. Right?
What's up? This is Fritz the Cat.
Hey, Fritz.
You're listening to the Tom Shattuck Show on WTIC 1080.
Hey, Fritz.
Whee!
Here. Thank you, Fritz.
You can do that. You can visit the Tom Shattuck Show in Connecticut this Thursday, Friday, and next Monday.
Yes, come see the lovely Alice Shattuck. Ready, Alice?
I'm ready.
You're not going to have makeup on, right? You're going to be all natural like you are now?
Exactly like I am now, exactly.
I don't know much about the government and aviation, so I could be 1,000% off base here, and if yes, I'll totally accept it. But during 9/11, the government made sure that all aircraft was forced to land and all flights were canceled because of the acts of terrorism that were inflicted upon the United States that day. So why can't the government force all aircraft, all drones, to land immediately at the nearest airport so that they could figure out if these drones are in fact belonging to the United States, if they're from Iran, if they're from outer space. So why can't they just do a forced landing to find out what's going on? Obviously, understanding it's the holidays, people need to get places. But if they're that paranoid about it, why not just have a landing, a forced landing? Why not?
I like it, Steve. And I think that's cool.
I think those are just FAA rules, right? Can't Pete Buttigieg do that?
Yeah, I guess so. I like the idea, but I have a hypothesis on why not. My feeling is that we know that if we order them all to be grounded, that they're going to keep on flying, and there's nothing that the government can do about it. They can't. We don't have the technology to take them down. We don't know what to do. They're pursuing Coast Guard boats. We can't hit them. Then there's nothing we can do. But I like your idea, Steve. Absolutely.
But then I think his point is anything that's still flying, you can shoot at it if you've ordered everything down, right?
Tom, in the next 5 seconds, name me your favorite food.
I'll say tripe.
I don't care.
What? How dare you? How dare you? Punked, Alice. I was punked. Somebody. You never
Young people today.
I know. I wonder if that's one of the kids from Market Basket. Imagine it. Wait a second. They don't really just think I'm a jackass, do they? My Market Basket bros? They're not laughing at me, right? We're a crew.
They're friends with you.
Yeah.
I think,
yeah. So here's a message for Alex Jones Shattuck.
Yes, sir.
Who doesn't believe in drones, but conspiratorially thinks government is doing everything else. Come on, Alice.
Correct. That's you. I thought
Step
it was
up your game. This is the feds.
No, I don't believe in drones. I believe perhaps they're demons. What is it about you that you're afraid to think this through?
I don't think that there's drones on a mothership from Iran flying all over New Jersey.
Okay,
I just don't.
Okay, so no dumb ideas here at this drone meeting. What's your hypothesis?
I think I've said this a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
I think
it's a Patriot Act.
I think it's a combination of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that some of it is people seeing normal stuff that they don't know what it is, like your ABC video that you played yesterday.
Which was a rolling orb, but that's fine. I know you see those all the time. So.
I see weird camera distortions when I use like my phone camera.
You don't think the ABC News cameraman knows how to use the camera?
He would, but I think that they like clicks more than they like truthfulness.
Imagine we found out like that Clarissa Ward is not the exception. Like they all make it up all the time.
Nothing would shock me really when it comes to the media, but I think some of it is people seeing normal stuff that they're misinterpreting. I think we also now have government drones out there looking for stuff that people are seeing. I think we also have people who are like, I think it's a mass hysteria thing. I think people are, you know, getting excited about stuff that's not there. And I think the government is continuing to gin it up and abuse it and allow people to think that this is something that's happening so that they can claim extra powers, because let no like crisis go to waste, right?
Yeah.
I think that the government, anytime they see something happening, would love to say, especially if it's like not a real thing, loves to say like, oh my God, yeah, we can totally solve this problem for you. All you have to do is just grant us a bunch of emergency powers that we'll totally give back once the emergency's over.
That's like labeling the Canadian wildfires climate change. Yep, see? Need more climate stuff.
The feds. Notice how everyone stopped talking about everything else once they started talking about drones.
True.
Yeah, sorry about the voice on my last messages when I travel. It just...
I liked it.
It beats me up. Like your son, I'm allergic to nearly everything, so I get, it's tough. And I'm going to miss your party, unfortunately, because I'll be traveling back from a conference that day, too. And the C-30 comment was because Tom told us to keep messages short, and that was the first cassette release on cassette by Bow Wow Wow. Oh. And it was in reference to timing of the cassette tapes. 1 minute, 9 seconds.
Wow. It's right. 1 minute, 9 seconds.
Well done.
Okay, I was thinking, I don't know much about Bow Wow Wow. I knew Oingo Boingo is Danny Elfman, but I don't have anything from Bow Wow Wow. Alice, what songs do you enjoy from Bow Wow Wow mostly?
None.
How about Oingo Boingo?
None.
How about Sigu Sigu Sputnik?
Nothing. I got nothing. I have Taylor Swift. I have some Beatles, some Rolling Stones. Not a lot, actually. But thank you all for listening anyway, even if I don't know anything. I appreciate you, and I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. This week might be weird with shows Wednesday and Thursday. We're not totally sure what we're doing or if we'll have internet, but we'll get something up for you.